Hey friends, my name is Z and you're watching Yi Makes It Easy, and welcome to the first video for section 1 of IGCSE Business Studies, and today we have Understanding Business Activity for the whole section 1. And for the first specification for section 1, there's 1.1 Business Activity, and by the end of the lesson you should be able to describe 1.1.1, which is the purpose and nature of business activity, which includes this sub-specification. So check out the description for all the timestamps. But we'll move on now to our first one, the purpose and nature of business activity. And here are the concepts of needs, wants, scarcity, and opportunity cost. Needs are the things that you think are necessary for living, and wants are the things you would like to be able to buy and own. So that's a key concept of needs and wants. And here's the economic problem, the real cause. The cause of the shortages or the scarcity of goods and services is that there are not enough factors of production to match the population's needs and wants. So it's related to the supply and demand. So basically, unlimited wants plus limited resources to get scarcity, which is the economic problem. And here are the 4 factors of production as I mentioned just now here. Land, which is all of the natural resources provided by the nature like forests and oil and gas. Labor, which is the number of people available to make the products. Capital, which is the finance, machinery, and equipment needed to manufacture the goods. And enterprise, which is the skill and risk-taking ability of the person who brings the other resources or factors of production together to produce a good and services, like let's say an owner of a business or an entrepreneur. And opportunity cost is the second best alternative besides the first choice. Now let's say you have an exam the next day, like let's say I have exam tomorrow, and instead of revising, I will go to the theater or the cinema to watch a movie and spend $50 in that movie. And the opportunity cost of that going to the cinema would be me staying at home and studying to get a good grade and saving $50 from the movie. Then we have specialization, the importance of specialization. Specialization is where we concentrate on a product or task where we are best at. The division of labor occurs when the production is broken down into many separate tasks. And nearly all workers specialize in a particular skill, and many businesses specialize in one type of product. And specialization is now very common because specialized machinery and technologies are now widely available, like the specific machines that you have to operate. Increasing competition means that the businesses have to keep their costs low, and most people recognize that higher standard of living or higher living standards can result from being specialized. Like as people say, like jack of all trades but master of none, and the master of something is basically your specialization. And here's more from specialization and the division of labor. The division of labor is when the production process is split up into different tasks and each worker performs one of these tasks, and it is a form of specialization. Advantage includes workers are trained in one task and specialize in this, which increases efficiency and output. Less time is wasted from moving from one workbench to another, and it's quicker and cheaper to train workers as fewer skills needed to be taught to one worker or other workers. But disadvantages include workers can become bored by just doing one job, which drops in efficiency, and no one can do the job if one worker is absent and the production might be stopped. Then we have the purpose of business activity. So business combines factors of production to make products which satisfy people's wants. So what would life be like without business activity? It would be quite horrible for starters. And without business activity, like different sectors like primary, secondary, and tertiary, undeveloped economies, because businesses do not exist, and everyone attempts to do everything for themselves, like they would be self-sufficient. This will cause very basic existence and living standards among the people or the population, and the living standards will be low. And what is the purpose of business activity? They combine scarce factors of production to produce goods and services or the products. They produce goods and services which are needed to satisfy the needs and wants of the population. And they employ people as workers and pays them wages to allow them to consume products made by other people. So they would have more disposable income. Then we have the concept of adding value and how added value can be increased. So added value is the difference between the selling price of a product and the cost of bought-in material and components. And in simple terms, it is the increased worth that a business creates for a product and the difference between a business paid its supplier and the price it charges. Specifically, the selling price of the product, the price, minus the cost or the material and bought-in cost equals the value added by the business. And why is added value important? And if value is not added to the materials or components that a business buys in, then other costs cannot be paid for and no profit will be made. Added value is also important because sales revenue is greater than the cost of materials bought by the business. This means a business can pay other costs such as labor costs, management expenses and costs including advertising and power at their workforce, and they may be able to make a profit if these other costs come to a total that is less than the added value. So an example of added value could be that if you have go to get rubber from the rubber tree, the rubber thing, if you didn't turn it into, let's say, tires, you're losing out on that added value. So if you're just exporting just rubber to other countries, you're missing out the added value that you could have put in to produce a tire and sell it to other countries. And how could a business increase added value? They could increase selling price but keep the cost of materials the same, or they could reduce the cost of materials but keep the price the same. And lastly, here's the key terms from this 1.1 business activity. The need is a good or service essential for living. The want, a want is a good or service which people would like to have but which is not essential for living, or it's a people's wants are unlimited. Economic problem is existence of unlimited wants but limited resources to produce the goods and services to satisfy the wants. The factors of production, the resources needed to produce goods or services, and there are 4 factors of production and they are in limited supply. And scarcity is basically the lack of sufficient products to fulfill the total wants of the population. And opportunity cost is the next best alternative given up by choosing another item. And specialization it occurs when people and businesses concentrate on what they are best at. The division of labor is when the production process is split up into different tasks and each worker performs one of these tasks, and it is a form of specialization. And businesses combine factors of production to make products which satisfy people's wants. And lastly, added value is the difference between the selling price of a product and the cost of bought-in materials and components. And that's it for this first learning video of 1.1 business activity for IGCSE Business Studies. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment down below if you have any questions or criticisms. And also check out my Instagram in the description for more daily content. And I hope you guys found it useful and found it helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay safe and happy learning.